All right, everybody, half a day and happy holidays to you and yours once again. New Year's is coming up, and that means that we are in the last regular season week of the NFL. Andy Wheeler, Ken St. Nicholas, Chris Malafunction Barnett enjoying yet another milkshake. The entire fields of cows have produced all the milkshakes you've drank this season.
I'm grateful for that.
Obviously, and Dave Delgado is here, representing, of course, the San Francisco 49ers, which we will probably talk about at length when we get to Dave. But, of course, we are in Week 17, and Ken, it's interesting because let's talk about who won last week's pick, and I believe that person had a special message for one of our panelists.
Well, our Week 16 was a rough week.
It was. It's terrible.
So I got 9 losses.
Oh.
And then the person who did the best on Week 16 was Jonathan Savares. You got 12 out of 16 correct. His username is It's On Dave.
Uh-huh.
So
Let's talk about that.
Getting called out.
Yeah, because he's a Seahawks fan, and we had a bet going on that if the Niners would lose to the Seahawks and get swept, I'll put a Seahawks sticker on my Jeep. So I've yet to do that yet, but I am gonna do it soon. So Jonathan,
Define soon.
Yeah.
soon.
what's soon mean?
I'm waiting for the final little touches on the sticker, but it's a real big sticker, so. I will be putting it on soon, Jonathan. So
No doubt that Dave will put that decal on the back of his Jeep, which he'll then park in a locked garage and everything, and then just walk to work every day for like the next month and everything. All right, so we've got some big games coming up, gentlemen. Andy, we'll start with you. Big AFC matchup as the San Diego Chargers are going into KC to play the Chiefs. What do you see?
It's going to be a good game, man. That's got a lot of playoff implications, and Chargers looking pretty good. I don't think KC has a high enough powered offense to hang with them. So, but playing in Kansas City, loudest stadium in the league, it's like that's going to be tough. But I think San Diego can still pull it off because they've been tested so much the past few weeks. Because they've had to get into the playoffs, so they've had those matchups, and I think they're going to come ready to play.
And that's a really good point, Chris, because San Diego, they've demonstrated throughout the course of the season that they know how to blow people out, they know how to come from behind, and they know how to hang in there in those real tight games. So what do you see as they head into a Chiefs team that still is really, really good, and they've got a stout defense?
Chiefs are underrated, and Alex Smith, he's had a couple of big games this year, but he hasn't really been able to string it together. And the Chargers, I know a lot of Charger fans, Steve and Master Control, not doing too shabby on the picks, and I want to go with the Chargers just because so many of my friends are Chargers fans. That's it. No science, no stats, just for my homies.
Just representing the boys.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of our friends, Steve from Master Control, Steve, we love you, and he would actually pick Phillip Rivers over Santa Claus if he had the choice. So, go there. Dave, what do you see in this game?
Well, I definitely like the Chiefs. It's all about time of possession, and Alex Smith is one of those quarterbacks can just run play after play, keep the ball going, chains moving. So I think the Chiefs can get it done, especially like Andy said, playing at home with the crowd on their side. So I got the Chiefs.
All right, a split decision so far. Ken, what did our unknown users think?
Our users, it was a pretty even split, 49% picking the Chargers and 51% picking the Chiefs. So go either way with this one.
A slight advantage for the home team, so let's see how that holds up in KC. All right, Andy, back to you because the Cincinnati Bengals are going into Pittsburgh and play the Steelers. Cincinnati on a huge momentum swing after taking out the Broncos.
Yeah, for sure, man. They're riding high, but going into Pittsburgh this time of year, division game, and I think it's for the division. So I think Big Ben and Le'Veon Bell, I think they're going to have a game because it's probably going to be cold, rainy in Pittsburgh, maybe snowy or whatever. So I think the game on the ground is going to be key. And the way that the Steelers' offense has been playing with the run, I think they're going to get the win.
And Dave, that's also significant because no one really saw certain parts of the Steelers' offense erupting the way they did. Everybody knew about Big Ben, so people were camping on him. And then all of a sudden, Antonio Brown destroyed the league, and he was like shredding secondaries. And then when people started camping on Brown, then all of a sudden Le'Veon Bell was putting up big numbers and everything. So how do you think Cincinnati can contain it?
Well, I don't know if Cincinnati can. I think Pittsburgh's going to pull out the win. And it's games like this where veteran players step up and earn their money. And, Andy Dalton's still fairly new to the league, and I think defensively they're going to disguise their blitzing packages and really go and try to get them. So I got Pittsburgh winning this one.
All right, Chris, back to you for the logic in lieu of science. And so, Cincinnati's got those drop shadows on their numbers and everything like that. Does that have any advantage?
No, what I'm going for here is I'm going to pick the Bengals. This is another Chris Barnett upset special. I picked the Bengals to beat the Broncos last week, and they did, just saying. And Andy Dalton really, in the Tiger Stripes, he just really reminds me of Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes.
And plus, when he takes off his helmet, that hair really
Yeah.
does look like he's on fire.
He's a ginger. He's a ginger. And
That deserves a drink.
Yeah, it does. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals for the upset.
All right, Ken, what did our online users think about that game?
68% of our players think that the Steelers will win, with the remaining 32% thinking Cincinnati is going to win. I think it's going to be a close game. Either way, I think they're both good picks to make, but I think the Pittsburgh is going to take it. So.
All right, guys, and for the last game, it's a big one. This is going to be the game that starts at 7:30 in the morning, 7:25 for those of you who are clock watchers. The Broncos, of course, the aforementioned Denver Broncos, Andy, coming off that loss. Is there any better team that they would rather welcome to their stadium than the Oakland Raiders, closing out the season?
I don't know, man. Raiders, the way they played last week against the Bills, it's just they're fighting for pride now, so they can be tough. But I still think Denver is going to win at home. As long as nobody gets injured, Denver is really trying to make that playoff push and kind of control their seeding, because they stumbled last week, had some issues, but I think this week they'll get back on track. Peyton Manning was probably pretty upset in practices all week.
Yep.
So he's going to get everybody on the same page, and I think they're going to come out with a big win.
And one thing, young people just playing football right now, keep in mind that the last play of the Raiders game, when Charles Woodson actually picked up the onside kick, the dude is in his 17th year of the season, and he's still making those plays. Insane. Dave, what do you say?
The Broncos, back to what Andy said, I think Peyton's playing with a little chip on his shoulder. He looked terrible last game, so I think this time around he's looking to put up some big numbers and end the regular season with a bang.
Yeah, when was the last time Peyton Manning lost 2 in a row?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That rarely happens, so he's on fire.
And then he threw 4 interceptions last game, so.
Which also rarely happens, especially these days.
Yeah.
All right, so Chris, is there any way that the Raiders can pull off this upset, seeing as how the Broncos are probably going to pull most of their starters probably second halfway through the second quarter?
I think the Raiders have shown us that anything can happen. I mean, they're a lousy team, but they've got 3-4 wins.
Yeah.
And
It's football.
Broncos, not so great last week.
All right, guys, there are a few Oakland Raiders, diehard Raiders fans, I may add on. Guan Ken, how did they represent their team?
Well, only 4% of our users picked the Raiders, 96% picking the Broncos. But this is the last week of the regular season, so if you want to make some strides, in the leaderboards, this
gotta
might be the week to pick the Raiders.
Pick against the numbers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at this point, depending on how you are on the Pigskin Pick'ems board, you may need to make some dramatic moves like that if you want to jump somebody's spot.
Yeah, we have very close competition between rank 1 and rank 40.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest move I can make at this point is just to log out and delete that account. And just
I'm right
forget
behind
that
you.
Just forget that this season.
Yeah, I noticed you had
Hire the guys who
you had a
have the
really
social-
nice picture of yourself as your avatar, Andy. It's been replaced by that generic, the cutout
Yeah,
silhouette one.
I'm just going to kind of fade away into the background. I'm just looking for next year.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were asking me to borrow my copy of Photoshop last week. So. All right. Well, that is going to do it for Week 17 and the regular season. But, folks, we will be here at Chili's throughout the playoffs, have some huge games coming up for you, and some really special things for those of you who perform best in Pigskin Pick'em. So, as Ken just said, go to KUAM.com/Pick'ems, lock in your picks, and see how you do in the regular season. We will see you in the playoffs. Dave, Chris, Andy, Ken, and I am Jason. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you once
Next
the playoffs
year.
start.
See you next year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.